Whenever candidates come to us and they talk about UX UI design as a career option for them, my question to them mostly is that what do you understand by UX UI design? Because it's a fairly new um, career. When I was studying, the term UX UI design did not exist. And these are some of the things that I hear from them, right? They talk about, these are just statements that they give, that it's about the overall experience, how a user feels, user interface is about how it looks. We have to do some research. We should think about what color people will like, what font is good. We think of adding illustrations, animations, so that it can become engaging for the users. Now, while all of this is not incorrect, but it is incomplete. Uh, yes, UX design or any kind of design would involve parts of what you see on the screen, but that's not the complete picture. Now, one of the things that I always do, this is how I like to understand things. I go back to the dictionary and I break the words that I'm looking at, and I look at their meanings, and then I try to piece together a definition. So that's what I've done here for you. Understanding of what user is, I think everybody knows it's a person who uses or operates. An experience is something which happens to us when we are doing something, when we are feeling something. That's when we say that this is an experience that we've had. But let's pause to talk a little bit about what is design. Now, this is the dictionary meaning of design, right? To plan or make something with a specific purpose in mind, right? We tend to use design both as a noun. So we can use it for, the motif on your garment and say, "Ki ye design hai." So that's when you're using it like a noun. But when you use it as a verb, as an action word, then the word design means to plan or make something. So plan and make. So every word here is important, which means that you have spent some time, resources, energy in planning and then making something with a specific purpose in mind, right? So now let's try and string these three definitions together, or these three dictionary meanings together, to form a one-line definition for user experience design. So user experience design, therefore, is an intentional process of creating product, service, environment that addresses specific needs of its operators or users in order to stimulate an intended response. Now, all the words that I have highlighted here, therein lies the story of UX design. It's an intentional process. It doesn't happen by accident, right? It addresses specific needs of its users, which means I must have an understanding of what users need in order to stimulate an intended response. So this is what I want the users to do, think, or feel when they engage with my design. This is how I want, this is my intention of a response from them. That response can be in the way they feel, in something that they do, they take an action, something that they think. So I am planning an experience which addresses a specific need, and it elicits, it brings out a certain intended response from my users. When all these three things are tick box, that's when I can think that, okay, what I'm doing is UX design, right? But then that brings us to the next thing. What is user interface? Because these are two terms that we use sometimes interchangeably, sometimes together, right? Now I've done the same thing. I've picked out the dictionary meaning of the word interface. It is as simple as a surface, the way something is presented to us, a means or through which a plane through which two different systems interact. So right now I'm here, you are there in your space, and you and I are interacting through the interface of Zoom. What we see on our desktops or laptop screens or phone, whatever device that you're using, through this interface, you and I are interacting, right? There's technology behind it, which is making all of this possible. But this is the interface through which you and I interact. Similarly, if you see the other images on the side, when I'm operating a television, right, I operate it through my remote. Now, good old days, you could also go to the television and operate, but now I'm operating it through the remote. Now, there's technology in how the remote is communicating with my television, what I see on the television, whatever functions the remote is performing. But all of that is happening. The interaction between me and the technology of my television happens through the interface of my remote. And now in today's time with smart TVs, it is happening through the interface, combined interface of my remote and the screen of my television. So that becomes the interface. And if I'm only designing the interface, that's when I do UI design. But if I do the overall experience of it, because that's where the user experience comes in, right? So user interface is about making is it about making something beautiful or attractive to make users feel good? I want you to think about the same example of the remote. How do we feel? Of course, I'll feel great if I see a good looking remote, right? But what will really make me happy about using that, or satisfied, or when will I call the remote a user friendly design, is when it makes it easy for me to perform the tasks that I want to do, right? I have with me here a remote which I think is a great design, and it is my air conditioner's remote, right? And why do I say that it is a great design for me? Because under, all the functions that I want to do with my air conditioner, I want to increase the temperature, reduce the temperature, change the mode, set a timer, switch it on, switch it off. I'm able to do very simply without struggling to figure it out, right? And how have they done it? I'm not sure if you can see it. Okay, right? They have their buttons are protruding, right? And every function has a different shape and size of the button, right? Even in the sleep. And I have this habit of constantly switching on, switching off my AC, adjusting the temperature and all of that during the night. I don't get up, figure it, look at the remote, switch on a light, or all of that. I just run. You might think that now I have muscle memory. It's not that. I just run in the darkness. I just run my thumbs over the keys, and I know that the big rectangular keys is what will change the temperature. I know the tiny circular buttons is what will change the mode, and I just feel it and I press it, right? Now this is interface design, right? It's not just about, I won't be excited about it if it looked pretty. It can look pretty or not look pretty, but if it is not performing its functions, if it is not easy for me to perform the functions, then my user experience gets impacted, right? So the user experience is also delivered through the user interface. So what is user interface? It involves creating effective communication that makes the user and product interaction easy and compelling. Now, whatever are the functions and features that the product has. So my air conditioner has the feature of adjusting temperature, of changing the speed of the fan or the angle of the fan. Now, these are functions or the features that my air conditioner offers, and they contribute to my overall user experience. But in order for me to avail of all these features and functions, I have to operate it through this remote. Now, if I built in all these features and functions into my user experience, but I screw up or I mess up my user interface, I will never be able to access the features and functions that the air conditioner has to offer, and I will keep struggling with it, right? And therefore, my user experience will get impacted, even though all of those features which were desirable to me were incorporated into the product. And now you can all take 10 seconds, 15 seconds to just go back, and all of us have experienced some product or the other like that, where we have not ended up not using all the features or realizing too late that this also happens with my product. I didn't know how to do it. Or we have underutilized a product simply because finding or knowing how to do it, or even knowing that this feature is available, was not easy for us. So the UX UI design, that is the codependent nature of it, right? And that is why both roles talk to each other constantly. Okay, let's move on. A very small mention over here. In today's time, we tend to think of UX UI design as something associated with digital products, right? But that's not true. UX UI design expands to analog experiences as well, which is non-digital. So for example, your experience of being in a airport, right? Now imagine that you are getting down from a flight. You get down. Just remember, what do you mostly, in most airports or good airports, well designed airports, what is the first thing that you encounter? It's most often restrooms, which was not the case probably a few decades back. But today, when the moment you deboard your plane and enter the terminal from there, you will encounter a washroom, and you will find signage for uh, collecting your baggage, in case that's where the baggage belts are, or you will find direction to go to directly exit, or find a place for eating or booking a cab or catching a cab. Now, somebody sat down and figured out that when people deboard a plane, these are the 3 or 4 top priority that they have. Now, in the Indian culture, you would never put a restroom or a washroom at the entrance of a building. But when you've been through a long flight, the first thing that you probably want to do is use the washroom or freshen up. You're probably coming in for business travel, for a business journey. You're going to head off to a business meeting immediately. You just want to do your hair, maybe wear your jacket, straighten your tie or your scarf, or whatever, and you want to go there first. You may go to a baggage counter, or you may not go to a baggage counter. You're just walking straight out of the exit. So the UX designer for an airport will figure out all these needs, prioritize them, and then make them accessible, available for the users without having them to rely on other people, asking other people, ye kahan milega, where can I find this, how can I do this, what do I have to do? Removing that stress or that struggle from their experience. It also contributes to the business, because I don't have to post resources, people, at every place. Apart from the fact that my customer satisfaction increases, there is also the fact that it reduces my operational cost, right? It is a one-time investment into creating these signages, into creating the spaces, into creating the way people navigate. But I don't have to have human resources invested in it, and I don't have to keep training those resources when one personnel leaves and the other joins. So the UX design, the point I'm making is two. One, that it goes beyond digital to analog experiences. And the other is that not only does it take care of the user, in taking care of the user, it also takes care of the business, right? But our courses focus only on the digital UX UI experiences, designing of digital UX and UI products, right? So, but for you to know that the term or the discipline expands to both digital and analog experiences. Okay, so then what is the big deal about it? For forever and ever, we've had products, and we've designed them, and they've been working. So now, very quickly, I just want you to take a step into the history of how products have evolved, right? So somewhere around the Industrial Revolution, that is when mass production started, and technology took into place. So it's not digital technology, but technology came into place. That's how mass production could happen, right? And many products started getting done, and that's how the space for product design, or the need for product design, came about. Now, as we progressed in our technology, digital technology came in, and a lot of products were being designed by engineers, right, who understood technology. So I'm not sure how many of you were there at the time when let's say the banks started adopting digital technology, right? And so in my childhood, I remember going to a bank, and they will make manual entries into registers. You will get your account details updated manually in a passbook, and all of that was happening. And then when digital intervention happened, there were softwares that were developed to be able to manage all records, right? And who were designing it? Engineers, because they understood technology. Software engineers were designing it. At that time, a struggle was felt that the product was meeting all the functional needs, right? It had features which could do all these things that we wanted. Enter somebody's account details, credit, debit, interest, whatever. They built all of those functions and features, but the bank personnel were struggling to use it. So initially we thought that it's just because they've not adapted to it. They need training. We will train them. They will learn. It will happen. There is some technical glitch. These were thought of as problems. But then gradually everybody started understanding that we made a product which does its function, but we forgot about how a user will interact with it, how a human will interact with it, what are their needs, desires. So we looked at the functional needs कि अच्छा एयर कंडीशनर है उसको ठंडा करना है and इसलिए temperature has to be increased, so my remote should have temperature increasing ka option. But what happens to a user when he's or she is trying to interpret this interface? At that time, what happens? Or we built in lots of features. Do people what is the priority of those features? So that is when this idea of user experience design came about. And we said that products are for people, so we need to take a human first approach and not a technology first approach. Let's not let technology lead product development. Yes, technology will solve the problem, will bring in the features and function, but let's first look at humans, right? I have a few quick examples to talk about what does it mean to take human first approach, because it can seem very, very rhetorical and obvious that yes, of course, this is what it is going to be. Of course, you will take a human first approach. Okay, so this is an example of a product which was developed by IDEO. IDEO is a design lab in America. And what were they asked to do? They were asked to design a device that nurses would use to enter data during a specific procedure. Okay, so vitals or whatever, certain data which is required for a specific procedure, medical procedure, and they needed data, so nurses should be able to enter it. Now, the first photograph that you saw, probably the client thought that they would get some swanky, some sort of a tablet, and in that they'll be able to enter, this is what people will do, and da 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 da. But what IDEO said, that let's first observe what's happening when the nurses have to enter this data. Let's see that scene. They started observing. What did they observe? They observed that the patient was nervous during this time, and at that time they wanted to hold the nurse's hand. The doctor is doing a procedure or some other nurse is doing a procedure, but they want to hold a nurse's hand, or the nurse is just trying to pet or caress the patient to calm them, right? And they realized that they need to design something which can be operated in this situation when the nurse is also calming down or taking the care of the emotional needs of their patient, and also be able to enter the data. So what did they come up with? I'm not going to go into long explanations. They created a device which can be operated through thumb scroll and with one hand, so that their other hand can remain available for taking care of the patient. Now, the solution is far away from looking pretty or swanky as the client thought to begin with, but it serves the purpose better. It is what we would call as a human first approach, understanding the needs, fears of all the humans involved, not just the nurse, but also the patient, because they are all stakeholders in this situation, right? Let's look at one more example, which is also a very, very popular example. Is so this time IDEO was given the problem to design a new toothbrush for kids, and you can go and search for it online. I think sometime in the late 90s, 96 or 98, is when Oral B gave this problem to IDEO. And today, the toothbrushes look very different from the toothbrushes that were there in the 90s, right? And this was specifically for kids. Now, the obvious thing would be, कि अच्छा ठीक है जो adult toothbrush, let's just squeeze, scale it down. Let's measure a child's body part. It's called anthropometrics. Let's measure all of that, and and then scale down that product, and we have a kiddie toothbrush. But what was observed? They observed that children of that age tend to grip their toothbrush differently. And why is that? Because their dexterity, the flexibility and dexterity of their hands is still developing and is very different from that of an adult. So the second picture that you see, you can see how a child holds a toothbrush and how an adult would hold a toothbrush. A child tends to maneuver their or have their grip through the fist, whereas an adult can use the fingers. If you can see my camera, then you'll understand that, right? And from there, again, it's a beautiful study of the product that was developed. They designed the squish gripper. So it's a material which is not hard, it's squishy. Its form is also such. This form has not been given to attract children, yeah, or make it attractive for the children, but it has been done to help them grip it better, right? And to help them maneuver the brush into the interiors of their mouth, right? Okay, so what is a beanbag doing here, right? I'm using this as a metaphor, as an analogy. If you know a chair, a typical wooden chair, what happens? You as a human have to adjust your body posture to the chair, right? But what happens in a beanbag? The product adapts itself, adjusts to your body form, right? So this is not an example of UX UI design, but I'm using this as a metaphor. We need to create products that follow human behavior, which understand their needs, desires, pain points, and not products that expect humans to adapt or figure it out. Of course, we will figure it out, or we will make do with it. If the cap is not opening, if I'm not able to, if I really want to send a message, or if I really want to change the temperature of my AC, I will somehow, one way or the other, I will figure out how to do it. And once I figure it out, I will also memorize that, okay, yeah, step 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I will do it. But that is not the way products have to work. Products should be what we call as intuitive. They should understand human behavior, right? And their needs, even needs which I cannot articulate, which I cannot tell you. You should be able to anticipate those needs through observation. Now, if IDEO had spoken to the nurses, they may or may not have said that I need a one hand held device, but that observation helped them understand the whole situation and its needs and what is critical in it, and accommodating all of those things, right? That is what it means to take a human first approach, right? And what does it involve? It involves understanding how well does this product meet the user's need, which means the utility or the function. So in case of air conditioner, it should cool down as per my need. I should be able to adjust the temperature. I should be able to do 3, 4 other things, whatever I want to do. How does the user interact with the product? How difficult is it for me to figure out how to operate it, to access it, to navigate, to search for to perform the function that I want to perform? I should understand that And finally, how does the experience of using that product make the user feel? Actually, the first two, when both the first two, the utility and usability are taken care of, I will generally have a good emotional experience of it as well, right? So understanding emotional needs, desirability, pain points, the value, what is of value for me, right? So, and how do UX designers do it? By asking a whole lot of why. So if you want to be a UX UI designer, you have to make friends with the idea of why, right? It's going to be your best friend. The more why you ask, the better you will be as a designer. So the sweet spot of success in UX UI is this, the intersection of what we call as what is desirable by the user, what is feasible by technology, and what is viable for the business. I, as a user, want it. I have the technology that can make it. So, as a UX designer, I cannot come up with ideas which are going to be difficult or impossible or challenging to execute because we don't have the technology, or are so heavy in resources that it doesn't become business viable to execute them. So, when all the three are taken care of, at that sweet spot is the success of UX UI design. Okay. And therefore, what the industry today needs, or what the world today needs, are professionals who can solve human and business problems and create products that don't just look good but work well, right? And therefore, for that reason, designers wear many hats, and the job of a designer is not to give shape only to it, or just create it on a software. Design is beyond software. So many times people ask me, "आप Figma सिखाओगे, आप XD सिखाओगे, आप what are the software?" Yes, software is the tool. It is like a hammer is for a carpenter, or the way Excel is for an accountant, right? But an accountant needs to learn principles of accountancy, right? Excel can do the addition. So, okay, today I don't need to be very good in my mental maths. Excel will do it. And I therefore need to know how to operate Excel, apply the formulas. But what are the formulas? Where does what apply? What are the principles of accountancy? I need to learn those. Therefore, please remember that design is much more than software. What are the different hats that a designer wears? You wear the hat of a researcher, observe, talk to people, understand the needs of the business and the users and all the other stakeholders. Be a thinker and a planner. You plan before you are making, you forecast, you foresee things how they're going to be. You have to think. Sometimes you have to think logically. Sometimes you have to think imaginatively. You have to be both. Sometimes you have to be imaginative like a child, and sometimes you have to be logical like an engineer. And you should be able to make. So it's not you're not an advisor who's planning and saying ye kar lete hain or wo kar lete hain. I can think and I am advising you, do this, you do that. If you do this, then this will be will work. You will make it, because you will make it, and then you will do a second round of test research, which is testing it, and you will keep doing that till you get a perfect product. And therefore you have to be learner. With every cycle you have to keep learning something. You will learn in this project, which you will then apply in the next project, or within the project through the various cycles. You will continuously learn, right? Okay, and that brings me to one of my favorite parts of today's webinar, and that is a quick look at our student work. So I am going to take you to, yeah. So this is the work of Shrikant, where Shrikant was trying to find a way of enhancing the life experience of retirees, right? And he created an app that allows senior citizens who have retired from their professional life to volunteer and make use of their services with various different organizations, and therefore create a community for themselves, right? And finally, to be able to motivate them and make them feel relevant and meaningful even after their professional journey has ended. How did Shrikant go about it, right? He started by, so let me go down to his process itself, right? He started by putting down what happens in the journey of a retiree, right? For that, what he did was that he spoke to many people. He also read through some of the available research on life after retirement, and he was able to document a phase when he would like to, where reorientation is required, right? So they start the pre-retirement, and then what happens after that, and this is their reorientation phase, where they are trying to find a new meaning for themselves in their post-retirement life, right? He had several findings which happened from his interview. He was noting down. So all of these, what you see in the yellow boxes, are anecdotes that people shared with him, statements from interviews that he got. And you see it very well organized here. But when he was recording, he was just recording lots of interviews and statements. This is how he has, sort of organized his observations and findings, right? And he made some inferences about it. And he realized that participants involved in activities with community and interaction seem to be more content with their daily routine post-retirement, right? And then he from his interviews as well as from his research, secondary research, which is available research, he was able to then identify what he really wants to do. He redefined his purpose, which is to help them reorient and fulfill their sense of purpose that comes from being part of a community, right? He came up with many ideas. So it was not just one way. He came up with, you can see, 6 different ideas of what can be done to address this issue of how we can help them reorient and fulfill their sense of purpose. Then there are methods and tools through which you do an analysis of which might be the best solution. And that is when he came up with the idea of an app-based local volunteering platform exclusively for senior citizens, right? And then he went on to understand the volunteering space better. So he spoke to all the stakeholders. He went and spoke to the non-profit organizations, libraries, museums, people who need voluntary services, right? Because he already had the retirees' point of view. He then went about understanding the other stakeholders' point of view, right? And he understood how the volunteering landscape actually works, right? Are people doing it online? Are people offering offline? How are people connecting and finding opportunities for volunteering, right? Then he made his, further he tried to understand the details of his users' point of view with respect to volunteering. So his first phase of research was wider, understanding the psyche of retirees. Now he tried to understand the psyche of retirees as with respect to volunteering, right? And he was able to create what we call as journey maps. He did that, and he came up with possible features that need to be included, which will keep them engaged, hooked, get gratification, make it easy for themselves. So they realize that he realized that some success stories need to be talked about. He needs to give opportunities for both, which require physical work as well as online, so in person as well as online volunteering opportunities, because you want to create a sense of community. So each of these is, sort of related to different phases of their journey, right? Celebrating milestones, how to create the sense of community, compete with each other, set goals as partners, that I'm going to do these 5 things, I'm going to do 4 things, have I achieved it? So bringing a little bit of gamification into it, right? And from there he started doing his his design, right? Very, very quickly, in the interest of time, I'm just going to hop on to another student's work where I will not take time in talking about the research phase. We'll spend some time in understanding how he actually developed the product, right? So this is Aromal's work where he created a community platform for gaming professionals. Okay, so people who create games, a sort of a LinkedIn for specifically for gaming professionals, right? And he followed a similar sort of process, which I'm going to scroll through and not spend too much time. His initial problem statement, and then his research with stakeholders, identifying his, understanding his target audience, his user interviews, their pain points, right? And now he started thinking about the solution, right? So the same process as what you saw with Shrikant, right? Creating a journey for them, right? I want to spend just a little bit. Yeah. So this is where he started listing his features, right? And let's very quickly come to, so this is, we don't need to get into the technical part of it. When he started visualizing his product, the interesting part of Arumal's project is that he started doing testing, right? And started identifying problems with the solution he had designed, right? So the user wanted more information about a job here. These tags, sometimes this is a UI problem. They felt that these tags were actually buttons and they thought they have to click it, but that was not the purpose. So this is a UI related problem. This was a UX related problem, that they want more information around it, right? And then he started solving these problems one by one, right? Then he identified another problem. They needed more clarity. Yeah. They wanted another way to edit this section, right? So he would build it. So the point I'm making with Aromal's project here is that a UX designer has to go through what we call as multiple cycles of iteration. You don't just, there's no eureka moment that you've come up with a solution and you've done it. This constant interaction with the user and the product and developing it and gradually improving it, it goes on and on. So it's not that you do your research and then you do your plan and then you execute. You are constantly in this cycle, right? And you repeat it several times. Okay, so that's about our some of our student work. And if I can quickly go back to the presentation, just allow it a moment to load. Okay, right. So therefore, UX design is not just research, because sometimes when I ask candidates, they will tell me, I know that I have to do research and I have to do, things with typography and color. But actually, it's not just these two things. It's everything that happens in between, right? All of that. Yes, there is research and yes, there is visual design, but the meat of the work is what happens in between, right? Because you can outsource research, but what happens in between is where a UX designer's work lies. And of course, you have to collaborate with researchers in case you are outsourcing research, right? So UX designers collaborate with researchers. They collaborate with sales and marketing team, because this product that you are doing, they bring in a perspective of the user from a sales and marketing point of view, market insights, what are our competitors doing, what feature is doing well, what are our customers now saying about the product once it has gone into the market, right? You collaborate with other visual designers, everything you don't know to do. So you may collaborate with illustrators, with icon designers, with the motion designers or animators, and they will be doing certain parts of it and bringing it back to you. And you, of course, collaborate with developers who use their knowledge of coding to actually create the product that you have envisioned, right? So you need to be a good collaborator if you want to be a UX UI designer. Moving on, here are sorry, my presentation I think is stuck. Yeah, okay. Here are 6 reasons why we think that it's worthwhile to learn UX UI design with the Academy. The first is that we start from fundamentals. We believe in respecting the fundamentals of design. And like Surbhi was mentioning at the beginning, that if you do not come with any prior experience in design also, you will be able to do this. Even if you come with some experience of design, it's good to brush up your fundamentals in the context of UX UI. We teach design beyond software. We don't think that UX UI design is about learning Figma or XD. It is about learning all of this that I just spoke about in the last 30-40 minutes. We have industry practitioners as mentors. This is not a listen in method of learning. You learn by doing, because we believe that you cannot learn design by listening or watching. You can become aware of it. Today you've heard me speak. You may have gained some awareness, but you can't become a designer. You can't become a practitioner by listening to experts or watching experts do the work. You'll become an expert or a practitioner yourself by doing. That is why you are a practitioner, because you have learned through practice. You have to practice, practice, practice. So that is our method of learning. So if you don't want to do that, if you just want to learn by listening, watching, you don't want to get your hands dirty, maybe we are not for you. So we've spoken about the stackable courses, and in my next slide, that's exactly the details that I will speak about. And we also provide career development opportunities for you and placement support. That is what Sachin here is to speak about after a few slides. So these are our courses. In the UX UI design space, we have a PG diploma, which is a 1-year course, which comes with a job guarantee. The PG diploma has 3 terms. We start with fundamentals of visual design. It helps you ease into the space of design and understand, builds a very strong foundation for your UI design. In term 2, you learn the fundamentals of UX and UI, right? And in term 3, you deep dive into UX UI with 2 advanced level projects. So in term 1, you do 2 projects of visual design. In term 2, you do 1 UX design project, 1 UI design project, but of simple product. In term 3, you do 2 projects, but of advanced level, in which UX and UI are integrated. So that's the PG, that's our maximum offering in a UX UI course. If you do not have a year to learn, you can start with our shorter course, which is the certificate level course of 20 weeks, in which you will be introduced to UX UI fundamentals and design process, right? You will do 2 projects of simple product so you'll do the UX, you'll do your task flows, you'll do your wireframes. In the other project, you will do the UI of a simple product. If after that you feel that this is the space for you, so the certificate course I recommend for explorers, people who are still exploring whether they want to do UX UI or but that's also a rigorous course, right? It's not to be taken lightly. But because it is a short course, it's good for explorers. If after that you're confident that you want to learn more and really be a professional in this space, then you can extend your learning journey by moving to the second term, which means after the 20 weeks of certificate course, learn for another 16 weeks, when we deep dive into the UX UI process, and we do 2 advanced level projects. Okay. The fun of it is that you don't need to decide whether you want to do the diploma when you start your certificate. You can decide towards the end of, after you've finished 15 weeks of certificate course, we will give you the opportunity to choose whether you want to go forward or not. Similarly, if you even sign up for a diploma at the beginning, But for some reason, after the certificate level, after the first 20 weeks, you feel that you don't want to move forward, you can apply for a withdrawal and you will still get a certificate. All these courses are part-time, therefore great for working professionals. And classes happen in the evening from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. twice in a week. So normally Monday and Thursday. And in addition to that, you must keep aside 6 hours of self-study every week, right? So this is your screen where you can check whether you're ready to invest 12 hours a week towards building a career in UX UI design. And that's when our courses will work for you. You can be a graduate from any field who enjoys the creative process or likes problem solving. You can be a professional from an allied field. We get people who are graphic designers, people who are architects, interior designers, textile designers, fashion designers, who want to be in the design space but want to, spread out into UX UI. We get techies. We get a lot of B.Tech, graduates who understand the technology side of it but want to now understand the creative side of it. So they join us. So if you belong to any of these 3 groups, this course could be one for you. I'm very, very personally, very, very proud of the colleagues that I have at AND, people who teach. So we have a wide network of professionals who are working in the industry or who are seasoned academicians who have studied at the prestigious institutions in the country like NID or NIFT or SRICHT, and have worked with the reputed organizations. All of these people, they are here to help you learn in your journey. They bring with them the experience that they have gained, not only in their education, but also in industry. We have a healthy mix of young and experienced professionals who guide you through, and each one of them is a specialist in the big continuum of the design process, right? And on that note, I welcome Sachin and hand over to Sachin, who heads our career services for both IIAD and in the last few years has built a great network within the industry, within the design industry. So not just tech or UX industry, but across all the disciplines. And over to you, Sachin. You can just keep giving me a cue and I'll change the slide for you.
Sure. Thank you. So very good evening to all of you. I may sound at certain point a little low in energy because I've been fasting for the last 3 days. So a quick gist of why you should be looking at these kind of opportunities with UX design. One, there's a influx of opportunities across the globe. It is only the relevant talent that they're looking for. People across industry are in high demand. Specifically, if I look at UX UI design, the only thing that matters most in terms of who gets through the gate is their quality, their skills, their design specific knowledge. So to look at the numbers, there has been an 18% rise right from 2020 to 2025, predicted by, again, a reliable resource called the CNN. There is a regular growth of 14.9% across the last 10 years. In fact, the numbers that you look at in terms of the UX UI design openings, you can check yourself as well through Naukri, through LinkedIn and all. These are the kind of numbers that is available. In fact, UX UI has been particularly ranked in the top 20 skills in LinkedIn 2020 report. And why this is important, as my colleague very well said, that UX UI design is not just for screens or for apps in any way. It is for every experience that you can even think of. I'm just quoting the example that she quoted about the arrival gate, where you first look at the washrooms. Why? Because after a flight of even 2 hours, people are looking for that kind of experience where they can relax themselves. They need water. They need to find out where the luggage would be. Again, this is part of UX design. Can you please start the next slide? So, what kind of companies are, or I would say, what kind of recruiters are there in the market who would hire a person like you? Any technology company, you name it, who is into any kind of screen development. Now, when I say screen development, there could be very heavy UX UI design agencies who are particularly working only on the screen piece of the work. They could be making uh, app screens, they could be making website windows, they could be making a kind of a digital product windows. Any of these companies are ready to hire people like you. Then there could be technology product companies, companies like Oracle, IBM, and all. They build a lot of in-house tools. For example, you could take any of the, uh, let's say, financial tools, to name it, like Pinnacle and all. All of these are also part of the UX UI design piece where somebody has developed those kind of screens to be used at. Then, of course, there are design agencies who would like people who would like to hire people like you who are in some form with some sort of maybe startups to full-fledged multinationals. They're working with these kind of companies to develop smaller pieces of their work, ranging from maybe 10 screens to 1,000 screens. Next page, please. Why and Academy's career support is very different is because we just not support you with job applications. Like we throw all the job applications on you, you apply, and then it's up to you. No, there is a full-fledged 6 weeks career development session which happens usually on every Saturday. It could be aligned as per your courses, but Saturday, it's anywhere between 2 hours to a 1 hour session where we talk about as little as designing and determining your goal statement, what actually you are aiming at, to defining the path and how you will reach there, to even defining your as basic as your resume statement. Like, how would you introduce yourself? How would you introduce yourself in person or on your resume, or for that matter, even on LinkedIn? So, right from all these basic, I would say, ammunition to fight the battle of job hunting is what we cover under this. And that's also not the point that we leave you. We again reach out to you to have a one-to-one discussion. So there could be somebody, let's say, coming from a background of insurance and now doing UX UI design. Now that person would always have an anxiety, a confusion, a dilemma that I am coming from a non-design background. How would I fit into UX UI design? There are fintech companies who would love to hire a person like you because you know the function very well. So that one-to-one session is all about finding your competencies, your career goals, and your alignment with respective organizations or respective industries, to be specific. Then there are recruitment drives that we keep on sharing with all the batches in terms of what kind of opportunities are there. There have been several recruiters who have been recruiting from the first batch onwards, and till now we have across 6 batches. In fact, 7th one is already on the go. This is a glimpse of the kind of companies that have shown interest in hiring our students. And these are not small names, if you would like to see. There have been some success stories where people like Yash have been placed with Acuity Partners. Then Shrikant, whose work you have recently seen, he's working with Delphi. Piyush, in fact, just to quote an example here, Piyush, being still an undergraduate, could fetch a decent opportunity with RMG, which is again a localized design studio. And then there was another opportunity by Raksha. She has been, so it could depend upon whether you want to start. See, there could be an opportunity where you start with as an intern to get a hold of the industry, to get a hold of the profile, and then mature into a full-fledged profile. So Raksha could be one example to quote here, that she started with an internship opportunity and now gradually she's going to move after a couple of years to a full-fledged job. Next, please. Yeah, we are open for queries. The only thing that I would kind of re-emphasize is that do not constrain yourself in terms of the UX UI opportunities that you see in very general. See, in general, the kind of job descriptions that you see are very, very, I would say, generalist. They ask for several things, even for that matter, they're asking for somebody to have HTML and CSS also be a part of your learning if you're a UX designer, which again is not something that we teach, and also is something that doesn't get covered under the UX UI profile. But if you know it, it is an added advantage. Now we are open for questions. If you have any questions, queries, more than happy to answer.
Thank you, Sachin. Yeah, over to you, Surbhi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prachi and Sachin. We do have one question from Sanjana, whose query is that since there is an oversaturation in the design industry currently when it comes to jobs, how can AND help us combat this?
I think Sachin has just addressed that. Also,
Yes.
I would not agree that there is an oversaturation in the design industry. Our market research tells us that there are more jobs than designers available. That is where AND is sort of, fulcrumed at. And in fact, I know that sometimes Sachin keeps telling me, "Ma'am, student de do, recruiter baitha hua hai." But yeah, I think there is need for competency. I think the industry has become very quality conscious, right? So they're not picking up. They need to hire, but they're hiring for quality. I think my reading, Sachin, you can correct me. My reading of the industry
Absolutely.
is not that it is oversaturated. Oversaturated would be when there is more supply than demand, right? So
See,
go ahead.
yeah, please, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, so it could be the limited research that Sanjana would have gone through, which is the oversupply of underqualified UX UI professionals who are not UX UI professionals in person, but rather they are more of the Figma operators. And what happens that in that kind of spectrum is that the kind of companies that we just quoted, or the kind of companies that you must have seen on our website as well, they are looking for hardcore quality people who could go down to that research level to bring out that kind of level of work what we have just shown through Aroma's work and through Shrikant's work. And that's the kind of quality which is why they are already placed, and which is why people like these are being readily paid for the kind of skill they bring to the table.
Also, Sachin, I hope this is a mature audience that we have. My reading normally is that, people think that, building a career will happen like a course kar liya aur career ban jayega. It is, you get your foot into the door, and then you build gradually, right? So, so you have to, it's a constant work that you have to keep doing. Let's move on to the next question, Surbhi.
Sure. We have a question that I have a portfolio in graphic design, but not a BA. Should I go for this UX UI course or the graphic design with course? What do you recommend?
Difficult for me to say without looking at a portfolio. So there are two things that you can do. One is that you can get in touch. Actually, one thing that you should do is get in touch with one of our. So there are those numbers you can contact or leave a query for us. One of our course advisors will contact you. Share your portfolio with them. They'll be able to have a look at it and assess. I don't think it is about you having a degree, a qualification in design or not, but we'd like to look at your portfolio and make an assessment if you are ready for the certificate diploma level, or do you need to start from the PG diploma, right? But that's something that conclusively I can only talk about once I look at your portfolio. And the way to get your portfolio to us is to talk to one of our advisors. Through them it will reach me, and then we'll give a very fair, I give a very fair assessment. If I think that somebody needs to not do the PG diploma, we do that. In fact, if you apply, if you fill in an application form you get an opportunity to talk to one of our faculty members. And during that interaction, 10 to 15-minute interaction, you can screen share and show your portfolio and have a conversation about it.
Sure. Thank you, Prachi. We do have a query that is if there is any offline UX UI course in Pune.
We're not a directory. I can't talk about. We don't offer any offline course, short course anywhere in the country. That's all I can say. I don't have the information about. We're not a general inquiry webinar.
Thank you, Prachi. The other one is it possible to pursue a certificate course in graphic design along with a PG diploma in UX UI to help with upskill further?
Actually, if you do your PG diploma in UX UI, it incorporates that level, the initial level of graphic design. The first term covers the fundamentals of graphic design to a level that are required for a UX UI person. The other thing that you can do, and for that you can probably attend our graphic design webinar as well, for you to see what happens in the graphic design course. The other thing that some of our, not many, but very few of our students have done is that they have done a diploma in graphic design with us and then followed it up with a diploma in UX UI. But doing both simultaneously is something that I would not suggest, because schedules can get difficult. It's not possible. I mean, sometimes a lot of times there will be overlapping classes and then you'll be left. So you do it, but you do it one after the other, right? But if you are very keen on it, do attend the graphic design webinar. My little two-bit would be that the PG diploma covers the graphic design part sufficiently.
Sure. We have a similar question from Nitya, who says that she is in first year college, I believe. So which course should she apply first, UX, UI design or graphic?
Graphic design. Yeah. In any case, Nitya, and for others, if like Nitya, if there are anybody over there, I don't recommend doing the UX UI course unless you are a graduate. UX UI requires a little bit of maturity. In fact, it's so you should be a graduate, or you should be at least in your final semester. Also, because you can't do freelance UX UI so much. You need to get a job, and Sachin, I think, will confirm my this thing that without a graduation, it is difficult to get a job. So you don't have to be a graduate in design, but most recruiters will require you to be at least a graduate and then have a diploma in UX UI. So I won't recommend doing a UX UI certificate or diploma if you've not completed your graduation.
Sure. We have another question that says that is AI used in UX UI design? If yes, then which are the AI tools used?
So this is not a teaching webinar, so I will not talk about which are the AI tools used. But yes, AI can be used. AI is a tool and it can be used. You can use it for your UX writing, because there's a lot of textual writing that goes. It can be used also. There are also, you can even write a small code, which is not the job of a UX UI designer, what Sachin was talking about, but sometimes you just want to write a short code. For that, AI is available. AI tools are also available to create graphics and illustrations that you want to use as part of your interface design or as part of your visual design. There are also tools now available which can help you with your sitemap and task flow generation. But for all of that, you have to first understand the principles of UX UI design for you to be able to use a tool, right? Okay. We answered all the questions.
Further questions, yeah.
Okay, but we'll just stay put for another minute in case anybody thinks of another question. And while you think of any question, if you have, my closing comments would be that I know that the UX UI space seems very attractive for various reasons. It's trending, it's new age, it brings together creativity and technology. It seems that, there are high-paying jobs available in UX UI. For various reasons, it seems very, very attractive. It's a great place to be in, but you have to work hard. There are no free lunches. There are no easy lunches in this world. So anywhere where you will, find green grass, be sure that somebody worked very hard to till that ground for the grass to be green and lush. So if you want a luscious career for yourself, you will have to do the work. And we are here, or if not us, any other organization, any other learning institution will be there to help you. But that's what it is. You'll have to work hard towards this luscious grass patch, green grass patch. So be ready for that. It challenges you. It's extremely fulfilling. I'm a product designer myself. It's a great space to be in. It's exciting. It's dynamic. But be ready for hard work and to be challenged every day. This is a space which will not let you rest ever. Yeah, but ho gaya. It's such a dynamic and rapidly changing space. Okay. Okay. So no more questions.
Yeah, I don't think we have any further questions. So thank you so much, Prachi. Thank you so much, Sachin. And lastly, thank you to all for attending this and being very patient with us. Well, as Sachin mentioned, that if you have any further queries, we'll be happy to take this up. Please reach out to us. You will get an email from us post this webinar, and you can reach out to our career counselors, and from there we can take it up whether which course will be the most suited for you. And any closing remarks from you, Sachin?
You're on mute.
No, so sorry. So I think most people take upscaling only to earn more, and I believe if what I'll just kind of second the thought what my colleague said, that whatever course, whatever institution you work with, the onus relies on you, and you have to work harder. You have to take your decisions to become the one that you dream of, or aim of, or aspire of. And for that, we have enough support in house. The only thing is that whatever is required, you have to go through it. You have to do it yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. And hope you find the career that makes the fire burn inside you. With that, good night.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good night, everyone.